I bought these 9 broken headphones and earbuds to see if I could fix them. I've already done a little bit of testing on them, so let's get right into the repairs. This video is sponsored by iFixit. And as is tradition, I already miscounted. One of the boxes didn't have anything in it, so I've only got 8. So we're gonna start right here with number 8. See what exactly is going on. The case looks pretty nice and clean. And these earbuds also are pretty clean. Let's see if they'll connect. Okay, we got a blinking light. Here we go, Beats Studio buds. Okay, now I heard these buds make a tone when I connected it. I didn't hear these ones though. So this earbud has noise, this one does not. So we've got possibly a bad speaker inside the right earbud. So the right earbud, it does pause the video and play the video, so I know that it is connected and it does work as far as that goes. So maybe it's just a faulty speaker inside the earbud. That also means the battery should be good, since it does work other than the speaker, but I'm not sure how we're gonna get this apart or even if it's possible. But you know what we like to do here, let's see if we can fix it till it's broken. Now I'm guessing this whole thing is glued together. I do see a little bit of a seam right here, and I think that's what we're gonna have to exploit if we're gonna get into these things. Most likely this will ruin them, as they don't make these to be repaired. At least I've not seen that. So we're gonna start with a razor blade, see if we can get right in that crack, and then we're just gonna slowly go around and hopefully widen it until it opens. And as usual, the combination of prying and heat, loosen that adhesive, and I almost have it apart. Just got a little bit of adhesive holding on in the back here. There we go. Okay. Got that part. So right here is the connector on the board that connects down to this antenna down in here, that little shiny thing right there. I'm not sure how we'll ever get that back on or if we can, but let's take a look at this speaker if we can get down to it. So we've got a big battery right here, and then I think this is the speaker right here. Let's get this under a microscope so we can see a little better what's going on in here. So now we'll go and see if we can check the voltage on this battery. I think this is the battery. There we go, 4.1 volts. And I have no idea if that's what it should be, but it does show that there is at least voltage in that battery. So then the question is, do we just have a bad speaker down here? I'm not sure if we can get that out, but I feel like we kind of have to try. Most likely this earbud is already ruined, so let's try and get it out and see if we can. I think we need to first remove these solder connections right here and then see if we can get this battery out. So at this point, I don't think this is something that we're gonna be able to get together anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of keep prying and prodding and probably just destroy this case. This is not gonna be fixable anyway, so we might as well just keep exploring until we can try and figure out what's actually going on here. Okay, we almost have it, I think. Ah, there we go. Wow, look at that. This is what electronic components have come to these days. Just a whole bunch of glue holding all of this stuff in here. And here is the speaker. So I'm not sure if this is the problem, but this right here that would normally connect right here, that's just not connected there. As far as I can tell, either I pulled it out or it just wasn't soldered in there. It's really hard to tell, but I think that might be a dry solder joint. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna see if I can fix that. Now we need to get a little bit of flux on there, and we'll just touch our iron to that and see if that'll work. Did we get it? Yeah, there we go. Now the question is, can we put this together enough to test it? I'm not sure we can, but let's give it a try. It shows they're connected. Okay, I got the one on the left. I don't want to put this all the way in my ear for sure. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we get any sound. Unfortunately, no sound still. Now that doesn't mean that what I did didn't work. Since I had to mess around so much with so many things in there, I could have broken something else. But I think you probably see the problem here. These companies are making these things that are so tiny and so impossible to repair that this is now trash. These are great, excellent quality earbuds, in my opinion at least, but unfortunately they're just so unrepairable that now this has to be thrown away. That all being said, let's move on to the next one. And here we have a pair of Powerbeats Pro. Oh, here we go. Not your Powerbeats Pro. Okay, let's try and factory reset them. Okay, and now let's try and connect them. Okay, we got sound over here, not over here. Oh no, we do have sound, it's just very quiet over here. So the left side is much quieter than the right side. Or maybe some settings I can change? I'm not really sure. So let's first try and balance this a little bit. Definitely better. So that definitely fixed the issue between the balance on the right side versus the left, but I don't know if that's still an issue with the Powerbeats Pro, if that's going to continue to be an issue, or whether that's all it took to fix it. I'm not really sure. The other problem is that's an audio setting in my phone, so then when I use other earphones, that's probably going to affect those as well. So I think there's probably still a problem with this. So since these are also going to be super hard to take apart, I think I'm actually just going to call these fixed because they definitely do work, even though it's probably not ideal. Now, if I go and sell these at some point, then I will just make sure and note that in the listing where I sell them, that I did have to change the audio settings in my phone, but I think they'll still be worth it for somebody that's looking to buy a used set of these. Now, these Powerbeats, I didn't actually test because I didn't want to put them anywhere near my ear because they're fairly disgusting. So I'm actually going to clean these first. And then after they're clean, then we'll test them. So in order to clean these, I'm going to be using some isopropyl alcohol along with the toothbrush and another stiffer brush. I'll also be using this metal dental pick and probably some Q-tips. First thing I'm going to do is just try and get as much of the gunk off with my brush as I can. Then we'll move on to disinfecting and sanitizing with the isopropyl alcohol. So this video is sponsored by iFixit, and the brush you're seeing me use right now is one that iFixit sells. iFixit is my favorite place to get basically any of the tools that I need for working on electronics. So they have like cleaning brushes like this. One of my favorite things though is this iFixit Protect Toolkit, because this has pretty much anything I need to get into almost any device. So it's got all of these bits right here. It's got this driver, and then it's a magnetic top that fits right on it just like that. So then when you take the top off, you can just put it right under it like that, and then you've got a little stand for your tools. iFixit sells tons of tools, tons of parts, and there's also disassembly manuals for lots of electronics and even lots of other stuff too, even cars. They even have repair guides for clothing. So if you're looking for anything related to repair, I highly recommend checking out iFixit first, whether you're just looking to fix something yourself with a repair guide or if you need tools or parts. I highly recommend iFixit. You can go to ifixit.com to buy any of that stuff. Let's get back to cleaning these things up. Actually looking pretty decent now. Okay, now I'm okay sticking these in my ears. Okay, I don't hear a tone. Oh, there's a tone. Okay, and these ones actually work fine. I don't see any problems with them other than with how dirty they were. So that was an easy fix for these yellow ones. Let's move on to the next ones. And next we have a pair of Beats Fit Pro. These retail for $199. These ones actually are really nice and clean. These look really good. So let's try and connect them and see what happens. Press this button until we see the blinking white light. Oh, doesn't blink. So let's reset these and it should go and reset, but it's not even staying on long enough. I did fully charge all the batteries on these cases before I started the video, so it's kind of weird that it's just turning off like that. Let's connect it to a charger and see what happens. So I've just got a charge meter hooked up so we can see if this case is charging, and if so, how much it's charging. So we have 5.15 volts and 0.13 amps. That either means that this case is already charged, or there's maybe a problem with the battery since that's not very much amperage going into the battery. It's also not showing an orange light, so the case thinks that the battery's fully charged. It just makes me wonder because when we open it, there's a white light, but when I press the button to pair it, the white light will not blink. So I think what I'm gonna do with this one is try and disassemble this case and check out the battery and see what the battery voltage is and see if we can see any problems at all there. So I'm gonna go back to my ProTech toolkit. This is the kit that comes with this driver set that I already told you about. And it also comes with all of these tools and then all of these pry tools right here. So I'm gonna try using this tool right here and then also probably one of these blue pry tools. I don't like using metal tools like this on that because that'll mar up that plastic. So let's try those tools. It looks like this piece comes out. I'm not sure that it is supposed to come out separately from the rest though. I think what I want to do is try and get this inner case piece out of the rest of the case. I'm going to try with plastic first, and then if that doesn't look like it's going anywhere, I'll get my razor blade and try that out. Okay, razor blade time. Again, I'm going to go very carefully, right just on this line that separates the two pieces. And it looks like we got, probably this right here is going to be the weak part because there's just a thin piece of plastic right here. So that could be good for getting into the device, but also that could be more breakable than the rest of it. I already cut a little bit into this right here. That's not what I was trying to do, but oh well. When you're trying to fix things that aren't made to be fixed, that can happen. So I think what I'm going to do is heat up all this plastic and the adhesive holding it together, and hopefully that'll help me get this thing apart. Okay, so now we have the top half of it off. We've got the magnets right here. These are what keep the headphones in. And we've got one battery contact here, one battery contact up here. This little connector right here plugs in right down here. Let's next take this battery off so we can measure it and see how many volts are present on the battery. To do that, I'm just gonna pry up on it. A small battery like this shouldn't be too hard to get up. Yeah, it's not bad. Any battery, if you're having trouble getting it up, you can use isopropyl alcohol to put under on the adhesive, and that will loosen the adhesive a bit. Next, we need to remove this little battery holder right here, which looks like it's glued into place, just like pretty much everything else on these things. Okay, there we go. And this part was also disconnected down here. So here we got the battery connector though, and that's what we need to check, and that'll tell us what voltage the battery has on it. So it looks like the black terminal is the one on the very left, the red terminal is one on the right. 4.3 volts, and this is a 3.8 volt battery, although down here it says 4.4, the part that's in Chinese, but up here it says rated voltage 3.8 volts, so that should be fully charged. Now it is still possible there's a problem with the battery, but usually if the voltage is correct when it's fully charged, then usually it's good. Let's plug this cable. I'm gonna get this all back together enough to get those headphones back in here. And then let's just see if we can get it working with the cable plugged in fully, just so we know for sure that that's not the issue. Okay, there we go. So here's our LED. Same thing. Okay, let's plug the headphones back in. And the white light is on right now. Now it's off. Okay, white light. Yeah, when I press it to get it to connect, it just doesn't stay on. It just goes right back off. Maybe let's try and disconnect the battery on this board, just with the hopes that maybe that will reset something. Possibly. I don't think that'll do anything, but I mean, we're kind of running out of options here. These are held in with a little bit of glue right here, of course, just like everything else on these. While I'm at this, let's just take this whole board out too, and then I can get a better access to this connector. This glue is just really hard to get out of there. I understand that they want to glue that in really well because they don't want the battery coming loose. I get that, but really difficult to disconnect that connector when the glue kind of runs under it. I mean, to be fair, it's not like they meant for these ever to be taken apart, so that's probably why they do that. Now we can hopefully disconnect the battery. There we go. Now these boards, they also put epoxy over all of these little components right here. So even if there was a problem on this board, I wouldn't be able to see anything. I wouldn't be able to test anything, just because in order to pull this epoxy off, you'd probably also be damaging components on the board. So unfortunately, yet another thing that, I mean, I understand why they do it. They want this to stay together, and you know, these things are going to be dropped, so they don't want these components to pop off or anything. But at the same time, that just makes it pretty difficult to do any sort of repairs. And that wouldn't actually be that big of a deal, but there's no way to buy these sorts of parts for it. So even if this board was a problem and you couldn't fix it, you also can't buy parts for it. So we're just kind of doing the best we can here. So now that that battery's been disconnected, I'm going to plug it back in, put it back together, enough to test, and just see if that did any good. Now let's test it again. Oh, we get a red light. I don't know what that means, but at least it's different. So apparently when the red light is on, that means that the battery is less than 40% charged, which is interesting because we did test the charge on the battery and it seemed to be normal. So let's try and charge it now and see what happens. Okay, we get 0.22 amps and the red light is on. So that indicates that the battery's charging. I mean, that's something. Let's let it charge, and once it's done, then we'll see if it'll turn on. So these are now at 0.02 amps instead of 0.13. So that tells me that they're done charging. The white light also came on. Let's see if it's still on. Yep. So there you can see the white light come on. Now let's see if we can turn it on, and then let's see if we can press it for 4 seconds and it blinks, indicating that it's trying to pair. Come on. Ah, it's doing the same thing as it was before. So unfortunately, the Beats Fit Pro, I'm about out of ideas. I can't think of anything that would be causing this problem. I don't see any problems on any of the little boards or the little cables or anything inside. So unfortunately, I'm just kind of stuck on this one right now. I think at least for now, I'm gonna have to call these unfixable. I really wanna fix them because they're so nice, but unfortunately, there's just not really anything for me to go on. So right now I'm gonna call them unfixable. If I think of anything else or do some research and find anything else that might be causing a problem, I will definitely come back to them. If you think you might know what the problem is, leave it in the comments section and maybe I'll revisit these another time, even if I can't fix them right now. Here we've got some Beats Solo 3 wireless. And the problem with these is that they're always on and will not turn off. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just hold this down for 15 seconds and see if we can get them to reset. I kind of lost count. I think it's been more than 15 seconds and it's just white light. So let's take these apart and see if unplugging the battery and plugging them back in will fix these ones. And heading back into our iFixit ProTech toolkit, I'm gonna be using this pry tool right here. So we'll take our pry tool, just get in under the ear muff. These are attached with adhesive. Okay, and there we go. Now we can see the speaker in there, but we need to get to the battery. Using this same pry tool. I don't know if this is the side that the battery's in or not, so I am not seeing a battery in here unless it's over here. So let's try over here. Oh, I think maybe I see battery right in there. You can see that little kind of gold tape. I'm gonna pry up the battery just so we can make sure we get the right connector here. This is a very thin battery. Okay, and yes, that is definitely the battery connector right there. You can see the light is still on, so let's get this battery disconnected. That'll definitely turn the light off. But in order to do that, we have to get the glue off. I say we, like you guys have to do anything. There we go. Now that light's turned off, but is it gonna turn back on when I plug the battery back in? Okay, we got a blinking light here, and then it's showing full battery. Let's see if we can turn it off. Doesn't wanna turn off. Let's see if we can reset it, and it is not resetting. Let's unplug the battery again. This time I'm gonna leave it unplugged for a little while. And now let's plug it back in. Got a blinking red. So we did have a blinking red and white light. So maybe that's resetting it. Let me get my phone and see if it's trying to connect. So there's a red light, it's resetting. Okay, there we go. Let's see if we can connect. Oh, it shows connected, but it needs to charge. Okay, so let's see if it's gonna charge. Okay, we got 0.29 amps charging. The light on the headphones doesn't turn red. So I feel like on all the other ones, it does turn red when it's charging. So I'm not sure that that's normal, but I'm just gonna let these charge for a while and let's see if that might fix them. So these are fully done charging. Let's see if we can do anything at all with the power button. Definitely won't go to blinking, so it'll connect to my phone. Connecting 100% battery power. Okay, that's good. So this says that it is connected. Let's play something and see if that's true. Yep, nothing coming through these speakers. So they'll connect for just a second and then they disconnect again. And we're back to the same thing. This light just stays on all the time, no matter what. Well, you know what they say? When in doubt, take more screws out. Oh, is that? Almost looks like maybe a little bit of liquid damage. Yeah, look at this, right here. You have a little bit of liquid damage in here. Also, if there's liquid here, that also means there might be liquid other places on these. Let's get under a microscope and check this out a little bit more. So let's take apart this button right here. This is the only other thing that was really that close to where that liquid damage was. Yeah, we got some liquid damage right there. And you can see that's the LED that's still on. So it looks to me like there's just enough corrosion and stuff down here that it's bridging the positive and negative terminals on that LED. And that's what's causing it to stay on. So let's get this adhesive coating off. So now with that off of there, let's see how long it takes for that light to go off. Okay, and we have it fairly clean now, and you can see that light is still on. Let me move this light away a little bit and this light away a little bit. So you can see that light is still on. So we got to start testing these components around here. It could be a problem with one of the components or the actual button itself. So let's test this button. Okay, there is no continuity over the button. That button should not be pressed right now. And obviously it is being pressed, or it thinks it's being pressed. So I'm guessing what's going on is there's probably a whole bunch of corrosion and buildup inside this button, and that's making it so it doesn't really matter whether you actually press the button or not. Those contacts are bridged no matter what. There's not really much to this little board, and a lot of these components were protected by this epoxy. So there's really only two things that could be a problem. Either this button or this diode itself is faulty. Now, unfortunately, I don't know of anywhere to buy this type of part, but I am gonna take this button off just so we can see if that's the cause of the problem or not. So I'm actually going to deconstruct this button. So I'm gonna take off this top film first, and that should let that top piece of the button pop up or come off. There we go. Oops, just flung that thing all over the place. Okay, so there's the inside of the button. You can see there's a lot of corrosion down in here. Oh, it's blinking. Let's see if my phone will connect to it now though. Okay, it shows it's connected. Let's see what happens when we play. Oh, there we go. I don't know how well you can hear that, but this speaker is working. Let's see if this one over here is. Yep. So both of those speakers are now working, so we definitely diagnosed the problem on this one. Unfortunately, like I said, there's just nowhere that I know of to buy that little board. If we could just buy that little board, then we could replace it and these Beats would be fixed. But unfortunately, at this point, there's just not really anything we can do because we can't buy that little part. That little part is probably about a, 50-cent piece. And unfortunately, because we can't buy that, we can't fix these Beats headphones. All hope is not lost. I will keep my eye out for a button similar to that. If we get any of these other Beats that don't work, maybe we can use that button on these to get these working. For now, let's move on to the next pair of Beats. So next we have a pair of Beats Studio 3 wireless. Let's turn them on and connect them and see what's wrong. Yeah, this one right here has kind of like a ticking sound. Tick, 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 tick. So I'm not sure what caused that. I think what I want to do though is take this apart and see if there's any like loose wires or anything on the speaker or near the speaker. That's the only thing I can think of right offhand that might be causing that. There's probably other things, but let's get it apart and have a look at it. So I think these probably come off just like the other ones. I'm gonna try and get something less sharp in there though. Yep, just got adhesive in there. Everybody likes using adhesive these days. So this is the problem when it gets all stretched like it is. It's really hard to get it nice and smooth, and it needs to be nice and smooth to fit on there how it should, but we'll worry about that later. Let's get the rest of this thing apart and check those speaker cables. If you're interested in buying any iFixit tools, go to ifixit.com/TronicsFix. That's my personal page they've set up for anyone that I refer. So feel free to use that. You don't have to, but it just shows them that you're buying basically from me for my referral. And that just shows the value of the value that you guys bring to my partnership with them. So it definitely helps me out. These actually are pretty easy to take apart, at least so far. Okay, now we need to see if we can find any sort of like loose wires or anything that might be causing that buzzing noise. I certainly don't see any issues upon my initial inspection of this thing. Looks very good. So now after doing just that little bit, that's totally gone. The ticking noise is just totally gone. So what caused it though? Let's screw this speaker back in and then see if the noise comes back or if it stays gone. Okay, and it's still just totally gone. So then the only thing left is to put this earmuff back on. Now you can get new adhesive for this, and I actually do have some in the mail because I figured I was gonna have to do some of this, but it's not here yet. I'm just gonna do my best to flatten this out, and then when the new adhesive gets here, assuming that these things stay fixed, and we can just pull this off and put the new adhesive on. That actually works better than I thought it would. Okay, but now is the noise back? Nope, totally gone. So I think what I'm gonna do is just call these done and fixed for now. I will test them again later just to test them again and see if that noise comes back. But for now, let's move on to the next pair of Beats. We got another pair of Beats Wireless Studio 3. Okay, they're immediately resetting when we turn them on. This already looks like those other pair of Beats we looked at. Oh, and then it just turns off. Resetting, and let's see if we can connect. I can see them, but will they let me connect? Okay. Oh, and then they just turned off. So let's turn them back on. Okay, they are connected. Oh, we got a blinking light now. Let's see if they play audio. No audio. So these ones show that they're connected. I can even supposedly turn the volume up and down on my phone, but I just get no sound out of them whatsoever. Let's first just try and reset them. So that should be resetting them now. Okay, and now it's wanting us to connect. Okay, I heard speaker. I heard sound from them that time. Hey, there we go. I love it when I get easy fixes. So these, at least so far, just needed to be reset. So again, on this pair, I'll also test these again later and just see if that continues to be a fix and if they keep working. But for now, let's move on to our last pair of Beats. We got a nice pair of white Beats Studio 3, I believe. Now these ones have problems on these side pieces. They're all smashed up right here and right here and right here. So we got to replace all of those pieces. So these ones came off really easy. I feel like maybe somebody's had these apart before. Now once we get to this point, we should be able to just pull this piece off. Oh, there we go. And that'll be a lot easier if you remember to take out the center screw. There we go. Ah, a lot easier actually. Okay, now the fun part. Next we need to remove all of these wires so we can pull the wires through this piece and then replace this inner piece on the headphones. I'm just going to be using my iron to melt the glue on the wires right here, being careful to not melt the actual wire. Now we can get a pry tool in right here and then just remove this round piece with these little triangles. These are also in the iFixit kit, the ProTech toolkit. We'll just keep going around and prying as we go. Okay, there we go. Now I think, yeah, there we go. That piece just comes off like that. There we go. So this piece is what we need to replace. So here is the replacement piece. Looks right. So we can continue disassembling pieces off of this. Looks like we just mainly have the battery and then got another metal piece down there. Let's get the battery out first. There we go. I do need to remove this metal piece. This is kind of like, it's got like these little plastic welds sorta. So I'm gonna take my iron and remove those, just kind of melt off the top of the plastic while I pry up, and then we'll install it onto the new frame piece. Now with that all done, we need to prep this new panel. What I'm gonna have to do is go through and remove each of these little plastic welds right here on this, pull up this metal ring. Then we need to install this, it's kind of a silicone rubbery piece. We need to install that onto here. We need to put the metal plate on and then melt these plastic pieces down. I don't have a fancy tool to do it, so I'm just gonna be using my soldering iron. Then we also need to take this metal piece from here and install it onto this side piece. This could get ugly, but hopefully we'll get it on enough to make it nice and solid and make sure this piece stays on. It doesn't have to be pretty because it'll all be covered up. It just needs to be functional. Also, I will be using a fume extractor because I don't want to be breathing in all these plastic and adhesive fumes. Actually, these side cutters are working great. That's great news. I don't have to melt all this and get these fumes all over in my work area here. I will have to melt them when I put the new one, when I put this piece onto the new plastic piece here. So now is the part where it's going to get smelling. I'm going to take my soldering iron and just melt these plastic pieces down nice and tight. So this metal ring will keep this rubber piece right there and nice and solid. Okay, mission accomplished. That looks great. It's gonna work great. I'll clean this up a little bit, get these little whiskers off of here. Now we need to remove the metal piece from here and install it onto here. And now same thing here. That actually went faster and easier than I thought. So this piece is looking good. Now let's just hope I can remember how this all goes back together. Now with those soldered on, we can get this. I actually don't know what this is. I don't know if it's a little, it must be like a, I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to know. I'm sure you guys in the comments will let me know what it is. And there we go. We have successfully installed that piece. Now we need to do this side. This side has a broken inner piece and a broken outer piece. So I think this side actually will be a little bit less difficult because we don't have as many wires to desolder. We've just got a few here. So this side should actually be easier. So we have these two new parts. I'm gonna get this all taken apart, then we'll install the parts, then we'll put it back together and test it. Okay, now with this off, we need to remove this whole board right here. Then we can install it into the new piece. Then we can start getting this thing back together. So we'll start with removing the 4 screws holding this board onto the side piece. Now with those screws installed, we can melt these 4 posts to keep this, it's kind of like a spring to keep that spring on there. Okay, and that feels good. So this piece, I believe, is all ready to go. Now we can transfer this over. Okay, and with that done, let's prep this other side piece. Now I basically have to do the same thing on this one as I did with the last one. I need to transfer this middle metal piece. It's got the screw threads in it. Then this silicone piece along with this round ring. I'm not gonna show that on camera since I've already showed it, but I'll show it when it's done. Okay, and that one went together pretty well. I got the metal piece installed there and this black adhesive over that. Then we have the metal ring installed and it is nice and tight down there, holding on this silicone piece. I think they actually turned out pretty well. Let's see if they work though. Okay, here we go. Let's connect. There we go. So let's see if they'll play audio though. There we go. So both of the speakers work. You can adjust them normally. And these Beats Studio 3 are fixed. While I wish I was able to fix all of these Beats headphones, I was able to fix several of them, so we've got some good working ones out of the ones I fixed. If you like this type of video, you might be interested in the video where I tried to fix 4 broken monitors. I'll put that up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see if I can fix those. If you need parts for Beats headphones, if you need tools, if you need repair guides, I recommend trying out iFixit. You can go to ifixit.com/TronicsFix and I'll put a link in the description that'll take you right there. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.